And hello, everyone, and welcome in to Insider Gaming Weekly, a video game podcast. It is Thursday, July 3rd, 2025. I'm, of course, one of Insider Gaming senior editors, Mike Straw, joined with me, as always, by co-senior editor Grant Taylor-Hill and the head honcho himself, editor-in-chief Tom Henderson. AP will be joining us momentarily, and when he joins, it will make the show 10 times better, at least 25% better than what it already is. Guys, it's been a day, it's been a week. How's everybody doing?
Well, since Grant's muted, I'll chime in.
That's that Michael Straw trying to censor me, man.
You weren't muted when I started the music, so I had to make sure you were muted.
Yeah, I'm good, all things considered. Not been playing much. I know we usually dive into that, but just to get ahead and make sure that we end up talking about all the points we want to talk about. Yeah, I haven't been playing much, but things have been busy this week.
Very busy. Grant, how about you? How you doing? Before we get into what you were doing over the weekend, how you doing these last couple days?
I'm fine. You know, it's been busy. We say that, right? It's been busy. We've had plenty to be talking about, even though it's you know, it's never nice writing about the things we've had to write about and the things we're going to talk about. But you know, we've said before, it's got to be brought to the light, right? People have to know what's going on, for better or worse. So,
and before we get into all that, Xbox, Mind's Eye, and Build a Rocket Boy, and that mess, that kind of couldn't help but laugh. And then Battlefield's expectations and what their goals are. Reminder, we come to you live almost each and every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Sometimes things come up, like last week I decided I needed to have surgery, so that happened and put us back week. But we come to you live each and every Thursday here on YouTube and on Twitter. You can also catch the show on demand on YouTube or wherever you get your favorite shows: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Pocket Casts, and more. Of course, the latest gaming news you need to know about is at insider-gaming.com. Exclusive news, reviews, interviews, and more. And join the discussion and be able to comment on every story we post at the Insider Gaming forums, insider-gaming.com/forum. Before we get into the news, Grant, you were at a certain place this past weekend. You were on this side of the pond. You were in my favorite city in the world, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, for the COD Champs.
Well, you say that.
How was it?
You say that, but I wasn't. You know, everyone thought they were gonna be when they first announced where Champs were going to be hosted, but it wasn't Toronto, was it? It was Kitchener, just a little bit outside.
Okay, a little bit of ways,
close, a little bit outside,
yeah.
but
yeah, I'd say close enough, but you know.
Yeah, it was my second time over the pond in 1 month. So, we went to LA at the start of June. I went to Canada at the end of June. Completely opposite, different opposite ends of the spectrum. You know what I mean? So Summer Game Fest for one, came back, quick turnaround, back out for the Call of Duty League Championship. So a little bit of esports. Actually, my first COD Champs, following my first COD League major at the start of the year, which was really cool. They came over to Madrid. This time I went over to their side because, as we know, even though they build it up to be like a world's thing, as we were talking about, it is almost exclusively represented by those in North America. So yeah, I went over for that. It was really cool. First time in Canada. Absolutely fantastic trip. We were only there for 4 days, but we managed to soak up quite a bit around the city. Went to a shooting range. That was cool. Went to Niagara Falls. That was stunning.
So you went to Niagara Falls. You were no more than 20 minutes away from me.
And we almost got to you, right? Because I was trying to get to like an observation tower. I had it on the map. It was taking us to the way to go to get to the car park and the thing. And I realized, hold on a minute, there's a bridge. That bridge says bridge to USA. And I was like, we can't go on that.
You make that mistake a lot. So one of the rites of passage here is there's a bridge that connects Buffalo, the city, and Fort Erie called the Peace Bridge. The rite of passage is on the thruway. There's an exit where when you go, it splits super quick, either to continue down the road in the US or bridge to Canada. When you are first driving, everybody who goes on the thruway in this area makes that mistake, and then you end up on the bridge to Canada, where the only thing you can do is talk to customs and go, I screwed up. And then they have to ask you a million questions just to turn around.
It must have looked suspicious because I literally just banged the Yuri and we came straight off the bridge. And I was like, let's not do that, right? And it was great. We went kind of all out. So I was staying in the same hotel as almost every team, which was really cool. Like getting into, because I'm a huge Call of Duty League fan. I've been a fan for years, going way back, and like getting into an elevator and having some of the players like jump in with me was like really cool. Some people might think it's pretty sad, like it's COD, but it was really cool. And we went big. We hired a nice car. We were exploring the city, went to some of the parks and stuff. But no, it was great. The tournament itself was fantastic. People were bagging on Kitchener being a location for it because it's kind of like it's random, right?
It's a nice suburb.
I mean, this thing used to be in LA. It was in Texas last year, and now it's in Kitchener, Ontario, however you want to pronounce it, you guys. But they had it came off really nice, like especially on the weekend. The arena was buzzing, the fans were loving it. It went down to a really, really great grand final. It was, this like ultimate underdog side versus Optic. You couldn't have asked for anything better. I mean, you probably could have, but you weren't going to get it. Huge upsets the whole weekend through. Like top seed went out first round, double bodied and out first round. No one saw that coming. Second seed followed the same kind of path, and it was really just a battle for who's going to take down Optic, and no one could. And these guys secured the first back-to-back COD Champs wins ever. There was this one kid in the Optic group called Mercules. He's this young gun out of what they call Challengers, which is the one rank below COD Champs. And his story is crazy. You can liken it to any rookie, some really cool rookie stories in traditional sports, I'm sure. I just can't give you them because I don't follow traditional sports. But this guy in Challengers 2 months ago, he comes up to fill in one spot as a sub for this one guy who couldn't play on the team of Toronto Ultra. His talent was spotted, and he was picked up by Optic Texas. He just became the world champion in Call of Duty League, a Call of Duty world champion 2 months into the CDL. No one's ever done it that fast before. Crazy time. A really, really fantastic weekend. And obviously, wherever it goes next year, I'll be looking to travel back to it. But everyone's hoping it'll come this side of the water, maybe like UK, but who knows? It'll probably be in the States like it has been for the last, I don't know, like decade or more. So we'll see. Maybe it's back to America, back to Canada, something like that. So
I don't know. The benefit of those things happening in a city like Kitchener is that it's cheaper.
Oh, bro.
Having to go to, hey, we're in New York or we're in Dallas or we're in Miami. Like,
this is what I said. Roads were empty. Parking was available everywhere. Everything was cheap. It was great. Like, I say the city was fine. Plenty to do. If I was there for longer, maybe. And the day after I left, it was Canada Day. I didn't even realize, but it coincided with that. And apparently Kitchener was like all lit up, fireworks, displays and parades and stuff. So you know what? I couldn't really complain. For my first trip to Canada, fantastic. And the fact that it coincided with so much other stuff would have been really cool for anyone, really. Like, yeah, so it was $150 to get an Uber from Toronto Airport to Kitchener. You eat those kind of things when you decide to go something like COD Champs, and you know what you're getting into. So yeah.
Tom, you ever been to Canada? You gonna come to Canada?
I have not, but I will definitely come when I've got the funds to do so.
I will be in Toronto multiple times over the next few months. At the end of the month, I'm going up there for an industry picnic, which will be fun. And then I'm going for Lincoln Park in there in September, System of a Down there in September. So,
oh, nice. Yeah,
so,
I went to Lincoln Park last week.
I know I'm
phenomenal.
sold out. Wembley,
Yeah.
sold out. Oh, Lincoln Park's done. Nah, they're fine.
Dude, what was surprised? Like I said this to Andy because Andy was there as well, and I was so surprised at the amount of people who was singing the new album compared to like the older ones.
Oh, the album's sick though.
It's
yeah,
so
the new
good.
album,
It's so good.
the new album's great, but at the same time, I was just very surprised at the amount of people that was singing and hyped up about those songs.
I think you see a lot of people bagging on it, don't you, on socials and stuff? But Emily's doing an absolutely fantastic job. You know?
Yeah,
It's
she's
because
phenomenal.
it's the cool thing to do.
But yeah, I'll come to Canada at some point. I don't know where, I don't know when. But
Go Kitchener, bro. It's lit, as the kids say.
Yeah. But it's like, is there any good game conferences there? Is PAX there?
No.
Or have I just made that
PAX
up?
is in Boston, Australia. They have PAX
Boston.
Unplugged somewhere, and then they have PAX West in Seattle.
Maybe
they
you can go see
they do have a
Ubisoft,
couple.
bro.
Edmonton,
Go Montreal, see Ubisoft.
Edmonton had a conference actually right after Summer Games Fest. The people from Canada that I was talking to while we were in LA, that's where they were heading straight from LA to go up to Edmonton, which is on the other side of Canada, on the West Coast. And then Toronto usually has a couple things, but I mean, Ubisoft, yeah, the big thing is Ubisoft Toronto. They're currently working on the Splinter Cell remake, so you just go pester them.
There you go.
Yeah. With that said, it's not all fun. It's time to get to the big topic. We have plenty to talk about, but the biggest topic, as everybody can expect to hear based on the title, are the Xbox layoffs. If you want to join the conversation, leave your questions and comments in the chat. We'll get to them as we can. If you want to guarantee, consider leaving a super chat. It helps us continue doing the things we do. No obligation, but it does help us there. Microsoft layoffs. There's 9,000 people. Less than half reportedly being on the Xbox side, which is what we're going to focus on. Still not a small and insignificant amount. Nearly every studio was impacted. Some still, as of today, aren't sure if they lost their jobs or not. Many found out through news reporting from us and other outlets that their studio was being hit. Like one of the Raven software and Turn 10, like I'd posted on Turn 10, they kind of had it knowing, and then I got a message from a source saying, yeah, I was one of them. So one of my sources is gone. Out from the company, and some were locked out of Slack without being told before they were told, while still having access to things like email and Teams to back things up. And all of this happened days after Microsoft's quarter closed, days after their stock hit an all-time high of over $500 per share. It currently sits at around $498 per share, and just not long after, a few months after it was announced for quarter one, that revenue was up 18% across the company with a $70.1 billion. Gaming itself, not as high as 18%, but still up 8% on the Xbox side of things. So before getting into all the studios, we knew, and everything, there's a lot. Canceled game, we're going to get into all of that. Start with you, Tom. Your high-level thoughts. We knew these layoffs were coming. Did we expect it to be this bad when they happened?
Yes and no, right? Because I think there was. I don't actually think the actual numbers for the Xbox side has been released yet, right? Like we know rough numbers, so on and so forth, but we know that around 9,000 across Microsoft in total was affected, about 4% of the workforce. And we heard the numbers. I think at one point 800 was floating around. I heard 1,300-400 at one point. Some people even saying up to 2,000. We're not entirely sure on the exact number yet, but whichever way you look at it, it was a bloodbath for the Xbox side of things. And to be honest, it was surprising. I think that Xbox have a tendency to have a really strong like announcement or something really good for the company, and then it seems like within a week or two they just completely shit on it and have a round of layoffs. I think this is the fourth round now in the past 18 months.
Nearly 20,000 people at Microsoft.
Yeah, and it's just mind-boggling, and I to be honest, I don't really understand it. I mean, I understand it from the business sense that they've just got to keep on making money, right? Like, I think Microsoft is forecasted to be a $5 trillion company within the next 5 years. But Microsoft are making something like, I think the last number that I saw was $400,000 a year per employee. And I can guarantee that everyone laid off from the Xbox division wasn't on that much. So
Nope.
it's just mind-boggling, and it's incredibly frustrating as well. And like you said, we'll get onto the individual games and studios soon. But I think this is just a massive situation that Xbox have found themselves in the past few years, where it seems like the management is just completely screwing everything up. And I know that's an easy thing to say, right? Like, just blame management. But in Xbox's case, it very much is. So yeah, it's just very unfortunate, and yeah, I don't really know what else to say on it, to be honest.
So the studios, the known studios that have had layoffs: Turn 10, Raven, Sledgehammer, Bethesda, and ZeniMax Online, High Moon, Compulsion Games, Rare, King, Undead Labs, Halo Studios, which that's a smaller one. That's a handful, but still part of the layoffs. And then one was actually shut down, The Initiative, with a game being canceled. We'll mention. There's a couple studios like Double Fine. I haven't heard of them being impacted, but that's because not everybody let go and has been notified yet. They're doing that. So, way to go. So we don't know. We're still hearing a trickle down, but we have a number of games canceled. Perfect Dark canceled. Initiative, like I said, shut down. The agreement with Crystal Dynamics out the window. Everwild, a game that we were questioning before Summer Games Fest and the Xbox Showcase, what we were going to see something like that, canceled. Romero Games, their new project that was being funded by Xbox, canceled. That team laid off. A number, as Grant reported today as part of that Romero Games story, a number of unannounced titles, and then a big one with a big story dropping just before this we went live is Project Blackbird at ZeniMax, which a lot of people were raving about, and we can touch on more of that in a minute. But then there's also rumors, and these are rumors. We have not reported this. I don't want to report that it's for sure, but people are talking because the trailer for it was taken down, Contraband being done, and then there's a lot of talk that Xbox's agreement with Kojima Studios for OD is done. Again, there's no way, we haven't been able to confirm that or anything. I haven't seen anybody confirm it, but this is a lot.
Yeah, just on Contraband quickly, I have reached out to a few people at Avalanche and I haven't heard back yet. But what I will say is that a few people over at Avalanche was actually posting on LinkedIn that they are currently actively hiring. Which doesn't necessarily mean that the Contraband project has been canned, but I feel like if it was, we would have heard about it by someone over on LinkedIn, or another reporter would have got wind of it, right? But Contraband seems to be one of those projects that has been in development for I think it's like 5 or 6 years now, right? And we just haven't heard anything on it. So I don't really think it's a telltale sign that it's been cancelled. But at the same time, who knows, right? Like maybe they've lost the publisher or the publishing rights or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. But it seems that at the moment, Avalanche is still very much actively hiring. And it's something I wouldn't expect them to do if such a big project like that was canned.
Grant, did any of these games being canceled surprise you at all?
No, I don't think so. Well, actually, tell a lie. Ones that we've not really mentioned, I think we haven't mentioned. I don't know if you said the name, but I completely missed it. But Techland, right? We did a piece earlier on. Techland canceled 2 games. One, we don't really know what it is. Second is their sci-fi fantasy RPG thing that they actually announced. They didn't go as far as giving it a name or anything, but I think there was like a couple of pieces of concept art floating around. They released a couple of years back with some like update decks, financial update decks, and they said that money was dropping. I think they had some big losses in the last couple of years stemming on from, I guess, Dying Light 2 with it not being such a successful launch. And things just kind of ebbed from there and they've dropped them. They did say, though, that no layoffs were recorded from these games being cancelled. And I'm assuming that just means they're just porting people to other games, right? Because Dying Light the Beast is about to come out next month. They've got a Call of Juarez. I think it's a sequel. Tom, I think you wrote sequel. They got that coming out, and then I think there's some other bits as well. But they did stress that they've not incurred any layoffs because of it, which is cool because I know that there's still a big drive to keep Dying Light going over the next X amount of time. Like I was talking to the guys at Summer Game Fest, and they said that Dying Light the Beast is like a starting point for the next era of Dying Light. So they want to take that a lot further, and there's still obviously a hell of a lot they can do with a franchise like that. So we'll see what happens. But that was one that I was quite surprised about.
But what about the topic at hand, Xbox?
I mean that says it all, right? If I'm talking about Techland, I mean there wasn't anything that came out of the Xbox cancellations or whatever that I think that shocked me.
I think the ZeniMax game is one that shocked everyone, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, ZeniMax has got a lot of eggs in the ESO basket. Do they really need another MMO when the ESO is doing so well?
Speaking of that MMO, before we get into Spencer and Matt Booty's messages and them, Blackbird, Jason Schreier, Bloomberg, threw this up maybe about an hour ago, hour and a half at this point, about what they call the surprise cancellation of the game, despite receiving rave reviews from Xbox executives back and it's as recent as March. The studio was shelved, or the game was shelved entirely, and all members of the 300 team dev team were cut. The game was planned for release based on the story for 2028, which would put it about a decade in development. And this is a game that a lot of people said would have been the next big thing from Bethesda and ZeniMax Online, at least from those who played it. It led to Matt Fearer leaving, which it's what, like they say resigned. When I see these resignations from executives at the individual studios, it has a belief of we're letting you go, but we're going to make it seem mutual.
Yeah.
They were part of the layoffs. But he was like, that one stood. If he's gone, the entire team. Elder Scrolls Online continuing to generate money for ZeniMax Online Studios, kind of was funding that. And this Blackbird was reportedly a third-person looter shooter in a sci-fi noir universe with, quote, fluid vertical mechanics such as grappling hooks, air dashing, wall climbing, and whatnot. No real reason, like no specific reason for why it was canceled. You can speculate, cost, risk of launching a brand new IP, the fatigue of live service games or whatever. It's just that's the game that everybody seems to be. Project Dark or Perfect Dark, no one seems surprised about. I was like, yeah, we kind of figured. Everwild, I think it'd been so long, no one's really surprised. And then, but yeah, the Project Blackbird game, everybody who's reported on it so far seems to be in unison, where I don't get how a game can be this raved about internally and then still get cut.
Yeah, it's difficult. I think for me, we're going to have to wait maybe a few more weeks, months, probably even years, right, to hear the full story about this game. Because in Schreier's report, he mentions that it started development in 2018, and by March they had a vertical slice, and I don't know if I'm being like stupid or something, but 7 years to get to a vertical slice isn't really computing with my brain. Like I don't know. It's just something. There's got to be a lot more to this story, in my opinion. Maybe it was rebooted a few times, and then they finally got to where they need to be. I know that Schreier mentioned that it was going to release in 2028, or it was scheduled to. Probably it was going to be delayed to 2029 or something, right? But that's 10 years of development, and I think at the moment we need a lot more information on it to kind of make our minds up, because I think saying that it was going to be good, or everyone said like it games that cancelled, it's always what if, right? And the fear of missing out and all of that kind of stuff wears into it. But the reality is that it took a hell of a long time to get to that point. So like I just feel like there's a lot more details missing. How long has 300 people been on the team?
Yeah, it could have been 300 people as of last year, but yeah, before that they had 75, and then they ramped up out of nowhere. Yeah, we don't know. But like Phil McCook says in the chat, people are going to talk. It's only a matter of time. There with so many people, people are going to talk. Speaking of Phil, the memos.
That's a segue.
The memo, the full memo for Phil Spencer, what he said internally to the team, can be found at insidergaming.com. Key things that took away from it between him and Matt Booty. Phil Spencer, quote, "Today we're sharing decisions that will impact colleagues across our organization to position it gaming for enduring success and allow us to focus on strategic growth." While then adding, "I recognize these changes come at a time when we have more players, games, and gaming hours than ever before. Our platform, game, and hardware roadmap have never looked stronger. Simply put, we would not be here today without that time, energy, and creativity of those roles that are impacted." I saw someone post, I can't remember who, on social media. Someone was like, Phil Spencer walking the room, throwing a bunch of pink slips. "This is an Xbox." Boom. And it made me laugh hard. Yeah, pretty much pink slips and Xbox. And then you have Matt Booty dropping the line in his memo to add to Phil's point. "Our overall portfolio strategy is unchanged. Build games that excite our players, continue to grow our biggest franchises, and create new stories, worlds, and characters. We have more than 40 projects in active development, continued momentums on titles shipping this fall, and a strong slate heading into 2026. To sit there and have these memos go, yeah, we have all this great stuff going on. Sucks to suck for you guys. And I get, there was someone in the chat who was like, can we talk about how they still employ 234,000 people, blah, blah, blah. They fired the people that haven't shown progress. That line like bothers me. It's like, no, you could be like, they said they like for people let go. If you want to stay at Microsoft or Xbox, apply to other teams and you'll have priority interviews and all that stuff. But to sit there and just go, they got rid of like the low hanging fruit people or people not progressing in their jobs, I think is just a very blind way to look at it.
Yeah.
And similar to this message, like the messages that they put in these internal memos just read across as that typical corporate fodder of, hey, we're safe, but sorry, guys.
Yeah, I don't really understand it. I don't like how many times can you reword the same bullshit, right? Because like I think that this is going to happen again. I think within the next 12 months there's going to be another round, and then I think in another 12 months there's going to be another round, and this is just going to continue on for another few years, in my opinion. And it's just a state of the state of the industry in general. 9 to 10 year development time on games just isn't feasible. And we always go back to this of, you know, indie games and AA games being the future, so to speak. And I don't know. Like, is a studio of 300 to 500 people releasing one game a generation really sustainable? It might be now that they're moving multi-platform, but it's just a huge risk. It's like you're talking $30-40 million a year. And yeah, maybe that's just me going on a bit of a tangent, but yeah, the memo itself was just the same. It's just the same legal bullshit that he sends to his legal counsel, and they draft it up and he copies and pastes it. There's no emotion in it, right? Like there's just nothing there. It's just saying it for the sake of saying it.
My favorite part of everything was the messaging of, hey, all the games that were shown in June's Xbox showcase, they're safe.
Yeah, until next year.
And then people believing it, not remembering, hey, last year at the showcase, Perfect Dark was in there.
Mm-hmm.
They're not safe. Like, you can act like they're safe, but they're not.
Yeah. I think that's Xbox's issue as well at the moment, is that for the past few years, everything that they say means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. They said that they was going to do, they wasn't going to go third party, right? And certain games was going to be locked to Xbox. That changed within 3 to 6 months. We just had the chief communications officer, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, said that
yell at you and then dip.
Yeah. Well, like I did speak to him on LinkedIn and cleared the air, but there was a rumor
People
going
don't
around.
See that one.
There was a rumor going around that Phil Spencer is planning to retire when the next generation console launches, and the CCO replied and said like it was made up basically. But obviously, first of all, what are they going to say? They're not going to confirm it, right? But at the same time, it's like nobody even believes that, because they've put such a lack of trust to the consumer that like the words mean nothing now. And as a brand, it's hard to kind of move forward with that kind of dark cloud over your head, right?
Hey, you can't trust the company as far as you can throw it.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, I think that more layoffs are unfortunately to come with Xbox, and I think that Phil is probably going to retire by the end of this decade. Like, even logically, right? Like, is it that age anyway? I think he's
57. He's 57.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. So the report was, real quick, we're joined now by A to the P, Albert Perkins, who decides to grace us with his lovely presence.
If I was standing, I'd give you a nice bow, but here we are.
Yeah. Thanks. But what? But the Spencer thing. Yeah, obviously he's getting close to retirement age, and it's one of those. Well, duh. When you're 57, you're going to be closer than you're not. Okay, I get that. Real quick, Insider Gaming wasn't the first to report this rumor, so the people like hounding us saying we were wrong, we reported on a rumor. 2. It's like the rumor was after the next gen launches. Well, when the next gen launches in 2027, maybe next year, but I don't think
no.
In 2027, he's going to be 59, 60 years old.
Yeah.
He probably sticks around. My guess, if I were to guess, this isn't a report, sticks around for 1 year after the next console launch, and then he starts the transition to probably Sarah Bond or maybe Matt Moody, but it's probably Bond.
Yeah. And like we said in that report, like I don't know if we was all there, right, at Summer Games Fest, but that to me was a strong talking point with a lot of people that were speaking about Xbox, is that Phil is done within the next few years. That isn't like corroborating the rumor and saying that there is plans in place, like he's training Sarah up and all of that kind of stuff, which the original rumor said. But at Summer Games Fest, that was a very, very strong talking point that I heard from multiple people, is that he is on his way out.
That's the same with everyone, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like we're just at that point now. There's so many people at that precipice. Like we talk about Todd Howard was saying that Elder Scrolls 6 is his last game. Kojima's getting on in years. He says he wants to make games till he drops, but he's getting on in years. Who else we got? Neil Druckmann. He's probably on his way out after his next game. Like, I don't even know if he's going to do Last of Us Part 3. There's loads of people where it's like they're on the edge, man. Loads.
Yeah, Neil already talked about how he's not going to be, assisting with the season? What was it? Season 3 of the show.
Season 3.
Yeah.
I think there's so many people who are just like these pillars, these like figureheads of the gaming space now. They're just, it's time for them to go. We're going to see a massive overhaul, I reckon. Of talent
in Xbox's case, I think that they really do now need to start putting trust back into their brand with the consumer, because as much as that I do commend Xbox in terms of like the games that they've been putting out these past 18 months, and especially the roadmap for the next 2 years, I think they've done an incredible job of turning that around. But at the same time, they've just damaged the brand so much by this kind of, I don't know. It's just that there's no direction, I feel like. And up until, even now, I really don't know what the direction is. And I think everyone has kind of beat around the bush on that and talked about it to death. But I think they really need to get the shit together and get a plan in place and just do it, right?
So,
yeah, just
go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, it just seems like there's not a structure in place, to your point there, when it comes down to it, Tom. And, I feel like, they kind of talked about it a little bit. And then, what was it? The Verge that kind of mentioned, whenever they had spoken to them, they were kind of retracting that a little bit. I'm at the side of, I feel like where there's smoke, there's fire. So I feel like that conversation probably did take place at some points, and inevitably it's going to happen, right? We've talked about his age already. I think at this point it's just something that's going to be inevitable. It's been discussed for quite some time.
And before we move on, because we do have to move along, we're wrap up the Xbox talk here. There are people wondering what has to do with Fable. Fable is fine. The next Forza Horizon at Playground Games is fine. With Turn 10, that Forza Horizon is going to be launched in the next 8 months, I feel, or 8 to 10 months. So I think it's fine. And it's, granted, I'd say it's a great popular series, but so is Forza Motorsport, and they cut half of that studio despite great reviews for every Forza Motorsport game that's been released, and they've turned it into what feels like just a support studio at this point. There's also the reports that Microsoft is doing this to push more into AI. We're not going to really touch on it. People have brought it up in the chat. I have my own thoughts. We could spend a whole hour talking about that, about their push for AI and replacing low-level employees. There is one comment that I saw that I want everybody to get their thought on. Theo, why is there so much? Why is the social media energy not this high when other gaming places announce layoffs, cancellations, and shutdowns? It's because Microsoft does it at this scale.
That's it. The thing with Microsoft, right, is that they just do it all in one big batch, whereas like we heard with PlayStation recently, with some of their closures, it was staggered. Like they've cancelled, what is it, 9 live service games in the past probably 18 months.
Yeah,
but it's all been broken up. Like we hear, or they've just not really announced it to a larger scale. But typically, what will happen with other studios is like someone like Schreier or Warren or whoever else will kind of like get wind of it and then report on it, where it's just like, oh yeah, two projects, God of War, live service game, and whatever else he reported on has been cancelled. And then 3 months before that, we heard about Concord, and then 3 months before that, we heard about the Last of Us multiplayer. If PlayStation did it at like they announced it all at the same time, then there would be that same blow up. I think what was particularly interesting about this round of layoffs is that people got wind of this like 5 to 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And first of all, that must fucking suck for the people over at Xbox just sat there.
Oh, it's cussing.
Well, I mean, you have to, right?
It's
But like, just imagine being sat there for 5 to 6 weeks, being around the table with your family, going to bed, and
like a dark cloud over your head.
yeah,
man.
just wondering, like, am I a part of this? Like, do I not have a job in a month's time? Like, that is just brutal.
It sucks. I've been on that.
100%.
I've been on that end.
Yeah.
It sucks. And then you get it's happening, so you start plotting and you start freshening up the resume. But at the same time, you still have to go in and do your job until it's not there anymore. So it's not like you spend all this time applying and trying to prep. But it's the worst place to be in when you're in that like employment limbo. But
See, I haven't been on that side of the spectrum. Whenever I was laid off from my job about a year ago, it was different. Like it was just kind of all of a sudden I got this phone call and they were like, "Yeah, you're gonna be gone in like 2 weeks," and I was like, "Wait, what?" As opposed to in this scenario where you're hearing about the rumors of the layoffs actually happening, and you kind of have a little bit of prep, but not so much. I mean, either way, both scenarios totally suck. But I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. But at the end of the day, I guess there's a pretty big contrast between the two. Between preparing and not being able to be prepared, I guess.
Last point, what about Rare and what's their future looking like? It's a Sea of Thieves studio and kind of it right now. The games they had planned are up in the air, if not done. Speaking of things that are up in the air, if not done, we're going to move on to another studio is facing layoffs.
One thing on the whole, like, someone earlier on, I think it was Tom mentioned like live service fatigue, and we're talking about why projects are being cancelled and stuff. And I was putting something together, looking at some of the numbers out there, some of the reports that have gone around recently. Like Sakana, for example, who we reference all the time, it's really solid data, great analysts. They're saying that in America, especially, there's an age group 18 to 24 every week, year on year, they're spending something like 25-30% less on games in general. Jez Corden shared a report on socials by a website called Early Game. And they're saying that 30% of gamers, I don't know in what capacity, whether that's global or again, United States, where a lot of this stuff tends to come from. They said that 30% in 2025 are expected to buy no new games because live service is king right now. There was...
And games are $80. Well, going to be.
Yeah. Matt Piscatella, also Sakana, said 70% of players are spending time at least once a month on one of the most popular live service games. And games like Fortnite, GTA Online, and Roblox are taking up approximately 40% of all gaming hours. We look at stuff like Grow a Garden, about a week ago, it hit a peak concurrent player count of 21.3 million players, which beats everything, beats Fortnite, beats all of the top 10 Steam games combined. I think there's just, we talk about live service fatigue. All the developers that keep announcing them and stuff and trying to make them is because it's all people are playing these days, right? I think that's definitely a thing to really look at and talk about, is that there is this very, very small, what would the word be? Like, group, like a collection of games that are just dominating everything else and nothing else gets a look in. And if something else does come out, it tends to be like a quick turnaround. It's a flash in the pan and it's done. And then you go back to your live service game. So I think that's obviously a big issue as well. People are just seeing, is the game that you're making got the legs that can that it can compete with this live service game? No. Well, we're not really going to invest in it,
Yeah,
so.
and we've only seen one really do it to any sort of level, and it's Helldivers.
Yeah, exactly. And now coming out on Xbox as well.
The first PlayStation published game to ever release on Xbox.
Yeah, so that was
I lied. It's
there's more of an exception, to the.
Yeah. I mean, it's Arrowhead Studios, and yeah, good for Arrowhead to get it out there. The more people to spread democracy, the better. But
yeah,
we
can move on.
We move on to everybody's favorite studio lately, Build a Rocket Boy. Before we get into that, reminder, you can subscribe to us here on YouTube, subscribe to the Insider Gaming newsletter, insidergaming.com/subscribe, and make sure you follow us and leave a rating on any audio platform to help get Insider Gaming Weekly out on any show or in front of more people to listen to this great show of ours. Build a Rocket Boy facing mass layoffs because Mind's Eye flopped harder than a magic carp out of water.
Can I just chime in quick? I think we do need to do a legal disclaimer. Rockstar Games did not pay us for anything that we're about to say.
I was sitting there. You had me. You had me. I'm like, oh no, what did I say? Did I just screw up on the plug? Like, what the hell did I do?
Well, it was... Yeah, legal disclaimer. We are not paid.
So after the game, after Mind's Eye was released to terrible reviews, poor reception from players that led to PlayStation doing the Cyberpunk method and refunding games, and they're the studio CEO claiming all the bad negativity comes from being paid by Rockstar, which we are not. But will I take money? I won't take money to badmouth anybody, but I will take money if Rockstar just wants to give me a bunch of money that they're going to make from GTA 6 whenever that comes out. But now we have layoffs. Every member of the company, every studio received an email reportedly that redundancies were possible. Leslie Benzies, the studio CEO, co-CEO.
There's two of them.
Yeah,
they're equally as
that's not how that C-level works. But okay, if they want to do that, that's probably one of the reasons why.
That reminds me,
the
studio
Office fails.
You remember? You ever see The Office, the US Office?
I've watched one episode.
Oh well, you probably know the characters. Michael and Jim are made like co-managers of The Office, and there's a really funny bit where this guy Oscar talks about like, what ship doesn't set sail without two captains? Where would Catholicism be without the popes? It's like that, right? Co-CEO, man.
And he is now blaming saboteurs for the game flopping, and says it will be relaunched. You can't I get you want to try and be a Cyberpunk. I get you want to try and be a No Man's Sky, but my God, those games at least had something there. Mind's Eye had nothing from the start. It was just more of like, look at how pretty our game is. But the game, there was, it was all it was a tech demo. And
well, this is the thing. It's both of them, isn't it? So Mark Gerhard, I think I'm saying his name right. He came out and said that people are, I think someone said, do you think people are paying people to slate your game? And he said 100%. And then Benzies came out apparently in this call. He had a call with all of the employees who were, obviously at a precipice right now. And he said, first there was the comment saying everything's fine, we're going to like relaunch the game and everything's going to be great. But then he was saying internal, external saboteurs. So they're both, it's easy to see they're co-CEOs because they share the same brain, apparently. Madness.
I don't get it. It makes no sense. Like, I get you want to save face about your game. But save face about your game by shutting up, putting the work in, and make it better.
Yeah.
Build a Rocket Boy like this. Mind's Eye was just supposed to be the start for those who don't remember what their, great plans are. They have this other game in development with Everywhere, literally called Everywhere, that was supposed to be this massive online game where then players go in and make their own games too. Can almost guarantee that's not coming out. I'd be willing to put good money.
Everywhere's going nowhere.
Mind's Eye.
Everywhere's going nowhere. Like, I've seen clips of it. It just looks like Fortnite. It doesn't look good. I think ultimately the core CEOs need to just look at themselves, because at the end of the day,
how much do you think they're getting paid? Two of them doing the same job.
I don't know. We're kind of in that situation here at IG, aren't
we? We have two CEOs?
No, but two people doing the same job.
Who?
Me and you.
Oh.
Yeah, Mike.
We didn't want to break this news to you like live on a podcast. I'm sorry, but yeah. No, but it's a good point though. Especially at that level, they must be getting paid some big bank. How many of them would pay for like the average developer? I don't know.
Though I don't know if Build a Rocket Boy is making enough money to pay big bank to their C-suite. I don't know. I just don't like. I think they're done. I think they're done.
And even if they're not, who's going to trust them? Who's going to trust them from now on?
Well, at the end of the day, ultimately, it's down to them to release the game of the state. Like, at the end of the day, they released it thinking that the game was good. or that it was going to sell. Maybe there was some publishing deal with IO where it was like maybe some timing issues or whatever. But like at the end of the day, it's down to them. They fucked up. Take responsibility and accountability and move on. Re-releasing this game is not going to magically make you back 200-300 million. And yeah, I mean, like you're going to lose. I think at the moment it's looking like they're going to lose like 40-50% of the studio.
At least
with their recent redundancies. So, like, you know, what are you going to do?
I like how even the lead actor Alex Hernandez, who plays, I think his name's Jacob something in Mind's Eye, came out and was like bagging on studios releasing unfinished games. You know, I mean, he's had it bad before. You know, he was in Mafia 3. He was the lead in Mafia 3, and that came out in a terrible state. So this guy just can't catch a break, man.
I know, and now it's got like a cult following.
Oh, Mafia 3 is fantastic. I love Mafia 3.
I could never get into the Mafia games. I tried even as recently as this past year to start from the Mafia 1 and play through. I just not my cup of tea.
3 was the best, man. I think it was it the 60s? I think it was the 60s, maybe, you know.
Yeah,
it was
brutal. Around the Kennedy assassination and
man.
stuff
So
like
you
that.
had like the cars, the music, the setting, and like the fictional rendition of New Orleans, you know. It was so cool, man. And it was it was really generic in that it was just work your way across these areas and take them over like one by one, you know, do these jobs, get access to the head guy, kill the head guy, take the region over. It was really generic, but it was really cool. I liked it, man. I think it was one of those games where I chased like every achievement and I, you know, played it through a couple times, got all the DLC. I liked it, man. I really liked it.
Speaking of a game chasing things, the next topic, love these segues. These segues are just working.
You're killing it.
EA is chasing 100 million players.
100 million
users, players, whatever they want to say. They're not saying sales, they're saying users and players. Reportedly,
sales for a free,
for Battlefield 6 pickup sticks or whatever they decide to call it. Grant, Ars Technica had a report.
They did.
Where
also,
they were talking.
What does that name mean?
Ars Technica?
It's just Ars Technica.
It's just an outlet name. Reach out to them.
Yeah, they did it. The report kind of came out of nowhere. You know, it came out of left field really, because it was like, to give them credit. I mean, apologies, I don't know the name of the gent that wrote it, but it was insane. It was like thousands of words, all of these testimonies from employees, you know, insider stuff. And it was really cool. It was chunky as hell, but it basically revealed that Battlefield 6 is a bit of a mess right now. Lofty goals from EA leadership saying, yeah, we can get 100 million people. We're going to rival Fortnite. We're going to rival, you know, obviously with the Battle Royale component, we're going to rival like Warzone and whatever. And people were saying, you know, the only way they're going to do that is if they push it out concurrently on like mobile and you get your free to play Battle Royale on like every platform. And the people who work there, apparently a lot of the Swedish folks, I think they're Swedish over at DICE, were like, yeah, that's not going to happen, bro. Because Battlefield 1, the best-selling game in the series, went something like barely made around like 30 million sales. You know, I don't think the entire series has made 100 million sales. So 100 million players is obviously a different concept to sales. With it being free to play, you naturally accept that there's going to be people that gravitate towards it just because it's free. But 100 million is a huge ask. But
yeah, they really think they're going to build something that's going to be as popular as a Warzone or a PUBG or a Fortnite. Like,
that's what they're betting on, right? Like that's exactly what they're betting on.
And the thing is, the building is not going well. This thing mentioned that there's crunch, right? You know, to take a couple of pieces out of it, there's crunch. Burnout is rampant. Someone said that they've been around the houses and they've seen more people leave because of exhaustion at this, you know, on this project than anywhere ever before. People are taking exhaustion leave. There is the campaign issues, which we wrote up on Insider Gaming. Apparently the campaign is sitting at around 6 hours, which is crazy considering they've got like 3 studios working on it. Apparently it's the fault of Ridgeline, even though they couldn't blame themselves for being shut down, you know. Ridgeline was working on the campaign, shut down, got picked up by Criterion, DICE, and Motive. But apparently Ridgeline didn't leave much to work with, so they had to readjust and start compiling the campaign from scratch without adjusting the timeline for the delivery of the game. So apparently, if it's not getting through these gates in time, apparently spring, it was a gate, it wasn't even gate alpha yet. Spring 25. So that's why we've not really seen much about it at all. And they're saying that if push comes to shove, when it comes to getting the game out, obviously top podium is multiplayer, right? That's what sells these games. And campaign will always play second fiddle to that. They said if they have to cut it even more, they'll cut it even more. So the story could be a fragment of what it was originally supposed to be. And we haven't had a Battlefield campaign in almost 7 years since Battlefield 5. And these campaigns are gritty, they're emotional, they're immersive, they're fantastic. I love a Battlefield campaign.
They're also unnecessary.
No, they're great. They're fantastic, man.
I don't know who said that.
When I look at Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5, they tell the stories that people don't see about, World War I, World War II. They tell the stories of people who did amazing things that never got the publicity of like the big battles, and things like that. And it's good because it's real stuff, and they make it emotional. It's not just like COD where it's like run and gun, spray and jump around with you slide canceling your way through a campaign. It's real, It's good. But that's basically it. Apparently the budget has risen over $500 million.
But that was as of what, 2023?
Yeah, they said 400 million, but the gent who put together the technical report said that it's now like far exceeded 400 million. So we can assume over $500 million if you take that, at face value. So ultimately, the be all and end all is multiplayer might come out and be absolutely fine, but it looks like every other aspect of the game is absolutely in the toilet right now. And they're banking on this game this game that's killing people, this game that is making people say, I cannot work here anymore. I'm too tired. They're saying, nah, we'll make 100 million players, 100 whatever off the back of this, and it'll be bigger than Fortnite. And it's just delusional through and through, man. The leadership, it's just delusional if they think there's going to be any. I'll still play it. I'll appreciate it. I love a Battlefield game. Absolutely love it. But what it's doing to people is crazy, man. It's because they want to hit their deadlines and stuff.
Yeah, AP, this comes across as this delusion, as Grant. I mean, that's a good word for it. Comes across as something from the C-level, like we talk about all the time, the C-level executives who are so out of the weeds.
Yep, that's exactly it, man. It comes down to keeping, everybody in the loop. You have to keep everybody in the loop on these type of things at the end of the day. Otherwise, I feel like that's when, things break down.
Tom, you going to double down on Battlefield being bigger than Call of Duty? Right? That's the thing. You're still on that horse, right? Is that's your prediction? Henderson says Battlefield.
I'm gonna skip it this time. But I do want to mention the campaign because I'm kind of with you, Mike, that I just don't think that it's needed.
I don't think first-person campaigns, military ones, are necessary.
I mean, I do think that you can have a good first-person shooter campaign. However, I just don't think that Battlefield needs it, and more importantly, I don't think that the Battlefield community want it, which is very, very important. You've got to bear in mind that the Battlefield community have been going through hell for the past 7 years. Battlefield 5 wasn't the best when it launched. Admittedly, it got better over time, and Battlefield 2042 released in a terrible state, and even that has got better over time. But to the point is that since Battlefield 1, the Battlefield community hasn't had a really good Battlefield to sink their teeth into from the get-go. And I just don't think that many people are going to play the next Battlefield for a campaign. I was going to say, to your point, Grant, I understand the emotional aspect and stuff like that from 1 and 5, but it's very difficult to deliver that in a fictional, semi-futuristic setting or whatever that they're aiming for.
I mean, but what I like is that historically you've had a lot of situations where, it's like Call of Duty. So few people probably get it for the campaign. It's just it's a nice to have rather than a need to have. You got I like it when it makes sense that it kind of weaves the lore and whatever. So you have the multiplayer maps that kind of take from the campaign to give it a little bit of backstory. One of the things that was really suckish in 2042 was that you had nothing to work with. It was completely new theater, new maps, new story. They were trying to tell the story of this world breakdown and this absolute world war in tidbits of information and operator backstories, and it was awful. You felt like you didn't know where you were at, what was going on. And obviously a story would have helped that massively. The story tells you what's going on. The multiplayer is based on the story with the maps and shit like that, right? So you look back throughout the last, I mean, I know you've liked Battlefield for years, same as me. You look back, right? Bad Company 1 and 2, fantastic stories with a great cast of characters that everyone really loved. Battlefield 3 was really good, and it had that thing where it weaved in the multiplayer with the single player. Battlefield 4 was absolutely fantastic. And like the fact that it was the first like next gen Battlefield back then, and they had like the the scanning and stuff and the facial animations and everything was so super realistic. Hardline was an experiment, but I still think the campaign was absolutely brilliant. I really liked the campaign with Hardline. The whole like cops and robbers thing was really cool. And then from there, it only got better with Battlefield 1 and then Battlefield 5. I think like the stories do a lot for Battlefield. But yeah, okay, it's like I said, it's like a bolt-on, right? People are more likely going to be playing their multiplayer stuff. I think in a situation like this, where they've got so many different studios working on it, it's not an argument of like focus on this one or that one. I think if they would have had the opportunity to put as much attention on single player as they are multiplayer, it would have been fine. But like I'm not saying I wouldn't buy it if it didn't have a single player. I just think that like everyone's been as hungry for a single player, maybe not as hungry, but it's been a while, right? 7 years since we got the last one. And I just think they're so much better than Call of Duty. They're so much better than COD story. Single player COD, they just rely on bringing back like Captain Price every 5 months.
They just bring everybody, they just bring back people for nostalgic value, right?
I think the issue is now, though, and this is going back to the EA leadership side, is with all the problems that the campaign's had, if it is going to be 5 to 6 hours, is it really worth continuing doing it?
It just feels like so much wasted effort.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, realistically, like have they put 100 million into the campaign so far? By the time it releases, is it going to be 140, 150 million?
Yeah.
Is the campaign really going to sell an additional 2 million units? I really do doubt it.
My favorite thing with
but I like to see those numbers.
My favorite thing with campaigns too is they put all this time and effort into. Most of it goes to cutscenes. Let's be real. Most of it goes to cutscenes that 90% of the players will skip.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to that point, I think that it would have been very easy for them to do the cinematic route of like having a cinematic per map, for example, in multiplayer, where then it gives you the lore of the map and like maybe they can tell the story that way rather than going through the process of building out levels and so on and so forth for the actual campaign side. But yeah, I mean, going back to the point of 100 million, I think that this is probably like a Byron Bede kind of deal. The guy who worked on Call of Duty. Yeah, like he worked on Warzone. Warzone did 100 million 12 months after launch, I believe.
In lockdown when everyone was home playing it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that they've looked at that number and just thought, yeah, that's our target. That's our target, and we're just gonna aim for it because by all accounts that I've heard, that is the exact thing they're going to be doing with the free-to-play battle royale. Is they're going to have the synergy crossover between the free-to-play component and the paid component, and hope that sells microtransactions, so on and so forth, and people upgrade to the premium game and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, even like Warzone, you saw the clip that Tom, help me out with his name. The clip that he shared. The Battlefield data miner guy.
Temporal,
yeah. He posted up a clip, like the intro to the free-to-play battle royale bit, and like how you get into the map and the story, like the concept around how the map is suffocated by this like mysterious cloud. Like it's literally Warzone.
Mm-hmm.
It's a carbon copy. It really is. It's so bizarre how they think you can take something, change nothing, and have it be successful as the thing you took from. Crazy.
Yeah, I think ultimately though, like from all the leaks we've seen of the game itself, like the multiplayer side looks pretty cool.
It looks right. Yeah,
it looks better than what 2042 did on launch.
Yeah,
so that's a good
definitely.
Thing,
everything looks better than that.
You know what I want though? What I want in multiplayer, I've said it before. I want what no one else does, and I don't understand why more people don't want it. I think I've told you before, Tom. I've told everyone before. Battlefield 5 fortifications.
Yeah,
that's what I want. I want to be able to take over an objective and then build that objective up with like sandbags and turrets and whatever. That was one of the coolest features. In
Yeah,
Battlefield 5.
you brought that up before because I went. There's a game called Squad for you, but again, that's PC only.
That's it. Yeah,
But bring that type of immersion because admittedly, that game is too much.
Battlefield,
More on the realism side for me. Bring that. Yeah.
You whipped out a hammer. Don't ask me how this worked. Whip out a hammer, bash, bash, bash. Wall of sandbags.
Yeah, that's
bash, bash.
In Squad, it's a shovel. In Squad, you're just digging with 30 people and everybody's laughing and making a shovel. And then you get destroyed by mortars and then all that wasted effort.
If they came out and they said Battlefield, whatever it's going to be called, has that, then I'd be so made up, man. Because I used to, if you play support, you can basically build these things faster. And I would literally just run around a whole match just building my defenses up. I didn't even shoot anyone. I was just building, it's such good fun, man.
Nice.
So fun. Love it.
As we start to wind down, reminder, subscribe to Insider Gaming here on YouTube. Leave a like on this video. Leave comments. Share. It helps us each and every week as we post these. We also launched, we probably aren't doing one tomorrow because of the holiday. I don't know yet. But daily Insider Today long form. We've always had the shorts on the website, on Twitter, and on YouTube Shorts. But now AP and I are working together to collaborate and create Insider Gaming Today long form, which gives you the top stories from the last 24 hours when we put it in of the gaming news you need to know about. So go check that out as we put more and more into the video side of things here at Insider Gaming. Tom, do you want to talk? People are asking you questions because Insider Gaming is only Tom.
Yeah, what people want to know?
Hi, Tom.
When is PlayStation having a big showcase? And what's going on with Venom and everything? Do you know anything? Is there anything that you want to talk about that might be good news for people to get excited about?
No.
Damn.
There's
nothing to get excited about.
If there is, it will be on insidergaming.com.
On that point, Tom, I guarantee you get it too. Please stop DMing and asking for information in a DM.
Yeah.
If we have news, we will report it. I don't need DMs.
We're not going to give it to one specific individual, right? We
don't need, we're not going to do it. Also, it was fun though to find out the amount of this one guy, this hater I clearly have. Not even the one who said I sucked and I'm not accurate on the podcast a couple weeks ago, but the one who I shared the image on social, I shared it in our Discord, who has spent for the last 3 years replying to almost everything I post to say Mike Straw is not accurate and Insider Gaming is not accurate because they employ me.
How have you just noticed this guy though?
Oh, I haven't. It's not I've just noticed, but today I was like, because I saw something again, it popped up in my time. I'm like, I want to see how often this guy does it because I have him muted. I don't blocking I don't care because muting is funnier because then they're doing it usually into a void.
Yeah.
But I decided to just go to his profile, search my name, vanity search myself, and just see. And it is hundreds over the last few years. Hundreds of obsessive messages. I'm like, kind of weird.
That's mildly terrifying.
And it always starts with, it's always somebody who tries to butter up to you at the beginning. I was looking through and asking questions and really not, and then eventually they just trigger as if because I'm not their best friend. They lose their mount. Their round. Here you go. According to Kotaku, last thing, Xbox invited developers to an AI roundtable the same day it did mass layoffs.
Yeah, I've not seen that report, but what I obviously that sucks. But what I will say about AI and stuff, because it's becoming an increasingly common topic. I know, who was it? The Jurassic Park developers backtracked on
using Gen AI and
the
using 11-bit. They left a placeholder in the game and
AI is being thrown around a lot, but it's been I don't think people realize for a start how long it's actually been used in games. It's been around for like 20 plus years. It's like, you know, like AI bots, for example.
Yeah,
that you're
man.
fighting. Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
like it seems like there needs to be a lot of education on AI at the moment.
Yeah. Did you see
Just
the
because of
bit
the
earlier on about
popularity.
Naughty Dog apparently having like AI NPCs in its next games?
Well,
No,
I mean, AI
Like
NPCs,
AI, like not like
AI
AI is in like traditionally, but AI is in like now.
What?
No. You know, like, you know what I mean. Like,
I know what you
talk to
mean.
it and
It's just
like talking
when
back
you
to that
say
kind
it,
of
it
shit,
just
right?
sounds funny.
Yeah,
Like
it sounds dumb. Yeah, exactly.
like the
Yeah,
AI thing.
like Phil said, it's too AI.
Yeah,
Like
it's
the
too-
term's too generic.
But this is the thing, right?
It's also often misused.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what, you know,
Yeah,
we've
but
all-
like here's the thing with the Jurassic Park thing is like really was that such a big issue?
Yeah.
'Cause
I think people,
like,
it's
same
become
with
the
the
boogeyman
placeholder.
now. It's a
don't know.
boogeyman now, right? People think of anything bad. Oh, it's AI. AI, it's, you know, they're stealing our jobs, you know. But like, we've all worked in tech in some capacity, right? I keep saying right. Why do I keep putting that in all my sentences?
All
like
good.
one of
put
the
Zen
biggest,
left.
one of the, oh yeah, one of like the what's the word? The foundations of the future for every tech firm right now. Everyone's pushing for AI in as much as they can do. Automation
100%.
is king. What can we do to make AI make our lives? Like, I know that Copilot and stuff, Microsoft, you know, lots of companies rely on Microsoft, their package, their 365 package, whatever. Copilot is a huge thing now. It's being integrated into day-to-day life at every tech company in the world. Every way that tech can be fused into any job going, it's being done, right? People should be done with questioning it. People should be done with saying like it's wrong or whatever. You're not going to change it. There is
It's here.
one area that I
it's
don't
too late
agree with
now.
AI being used in, and it's the whole like acting world, right? You know, because the voice actors obviously, we know firsthand, we know. We all talk to them. We all know them. We've covered this a lot, right? Where voice replication is 100%. It's fucked up, right? And we know there are so many initiatives against it, like SAG-AFTRA, all the strikes and stuff. They're trying so hard to manage it. That is wrong, because that is just so wrong. But something like in a tech capacity where it's speeding up development of things or making development easier, and yes, inevitably leading to the loss of jobs, you are never going to win that fight ever.
No,
So people need
the
to
AI
stop.
thing, I agree 100% on the voice actors.
Yeah.
I also I've posted on social. I don't believe AI generated art is art.
I agree. I was
like,
going to mention about art as a whole. You know,
where I've used it AI. So dating back 10 years when I first started in like the IT development side. When my first job, I was working on the data management side for a company that we were really pushing down machine learning, which was the key phrase in 2015. Machine learning everything.
Yeah.
Annoying, because again, like AI, it's so generic that people don't know what it means. Today, as a developer, when I'm building my websites, I can tell you I use Visual Studio Code. I have it open. I use Copilot. I use GitHub and Copilot, because there's a lot of things when I'm coding, I'm like, I need boilerplates made for like these 5 pages. Doing it myself is going to add like 3-4 hours of work. GitHub Copilot, pop up the boilerplates. I can do, while that's running in the side, I can continue programming and tweaking the code and checking like for data memory leaks and stuff like that. You're completely right. In game dev, it's here. Every studio almost uses it. Yes, there's a lot of indies that don't but it does help on the coding side of things to make things better. You still need the best way to use it, in my opinion, and this is going to set off maybe people, and I don't want it to set off this discussion, but it might, is you have to learn how to utilize it instead of replacing people with it.
Supplementary. Exactly.
Yes.
That's exactly it. Yes. And I am fully appreciative, right? Copilot is, and things like ChatGPT to a certain extent, if you're using, you know, the most up-to-date ones, it is scary how good they are, right? You don't really appreciate it until you have to use it quite a lot. The people that are out there all the time just saying it's like a job theft thing or whatever, they don't appreciate how much easier it can make our lives, right? It is a really harsh thing to come to terms with. And I say that as someone who, like I said, I'm fully appreciative of the fact that AI has a very, very real threat for me as a journalist, right? I fully believe that one day soon, whether it's a year, whether it's 3, 5, whatever, maybe less, AI is going to take over when it comes to journalism. And whilst it might not be able to go out and source these exclusives or put this human touch on the articles, or maybe offer up an opinion or something, it can't review something unless anything more than the most fundamental level. It's not going to be going and getting these interviews and sitting down with people and getting into the nitty gritty of things. But for run-of-the-mill journalism, AI is going to replace. It's going to step up, and then we're all out of jobs. And I say that, and I still say that AI is. It's not bad. I'm
going to stop the show now before I say something I'll regret. And
It's going to be a company-wide town hall after
I'd like to keep my job. I'd like to keep my job for a little longer. Yes, Stop Killing Games got 1 million signatures. There's still more work to be done. It still needs more because it will clear out any false signatures. So if you're in the UK or the EU, go support that process. I mean, I'm behind it. Any way to help make games playable when they reach their end of life, I'm all for it. With that said, you can find Insider Gaming on Twitter at Insider Gaming IG, Blue Sky Insider-Gaming.com, YouTube at Insider_Gaming. Subscribe to our newsletter. Join the forums, Insider-Gaming.com/forum. You can find Grant on social media at Newcov_. You can find AP at Weekly Wrap Up. Tom, look for the snowmobile because it's _Tom __ Henderson __ Maybe too many underscores or not enough. Myself, it's Mike Straw Media. And with that, this has been Insider Gaming Weekly, a video game podcast. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. AP, I almost stole your thunder because I forgot you joined late.
For Tom, Mike, and Grant, I am your host with the most, A to the P, Albert Perkins, and we will see you on the inside.
Layoffs!
How does that go in?